Hello everybody, welcome ladies and gentlemen, whatever the fuck you like to be called. I've already had to do this intro once before, but now I looked up the correct number of the episode. So this is YMB and BTC, episode 203. 203. I'm recording this about just before 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. We're behind one day. I guess I should describe who we are. I'm Tim. You may have been stuck listening to me by myself before. If you have, apologies. Subscribe anyway. Donate us some money. If you haven't heard me before, well, you're just getting ready for a treat right now. Anyway, yeah. So we're doing this a couple days, one day later than last week, because I already decided to fuck up the whole do this on Monday schedule. So I got yelled at enough by Daniel. Zach is seething angrily, not texting, but I can tell that through his silence he's very angry and pissed off at me as well, so that's good. But as an aside, it's okay this is going out one day late because we will be doing our live episode on Saturday, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, because Thursday is Thanksgiving, and as we know, most of you would love to get away from your families and come spend time with your actual real Bitcoin family, which again, when it comes to Christmas time, send us the gifts you were meant for your stupid nephews and nieces. They don't fucking need them. But yeah, we're going to be a little bit late with that one. We're going to do the live show on Saturday. Daniel has to not be willing to spend his time with you guys. He has to be selfish right now. If it was up to me and Zach, we'd be there with you guys. We hate our families just as much as you. But Daniel's trying to build his own now, and he's being a dick about it. Anyway, like I said, this is 203, episode 203. And I do have to make a mention because this is one of our newer special podcasts, the second one we've done. And I'm trying to remember. I just listened to Daniel's. I need to say a lot of things about how this is extra special, and this is definitely going to be better than Daniel's episode. Because as you know, if it's between one of us ranting and the other one, it's definitely me. So yeah, just tweet him that my episode was better if you can. Tweet him that episode 203 was better, and I really hope I'm getting the right number for the episode now. That just looks stupid afterwards. But yeah, this is one of our new episodes. It's one of our two times a week episodes that we've started doing. We're going to keep on going with this, but to thank the person and the company that are the entity that gives you the opportunity to hear my voice twice a week now and not just once, and that's thanks to America's Card Room. And now they're on a Bitcoin podcast. They now accept Bitcoin in over 60 different cryptocurrencies for both deposits and withdrawals. So whether you like Bitcoin, whether you like Dash, whether you like whatever, I don't want to say whatever, because obviously there's still some cryptocurrencies they don't take, but they take over 60. And right now, if you're using the bonus code through us, the BTC 100, you'll receive an exclusive welcome package that includes looks like 100% bonus up to $1,000. But besides that, they'll also give you entries in up to 4 new depositor free rolls and up to $50 in free additional cash. So if you haven't gotten too much of your free money from Bitcoin Gold or whichever one you're selling, here's a little bit more free money. So again, look that up. Use the offer code BTC100. Tell them you got to us. You heard about them through us. Tell them that they should be giving us more money. That's basically what I'm focused on right now, and I will be talking a little bit about that later. The money in this kind of the big part of this episode. Check them out, look them up, and find everything about that at the yumiandbtc.com/poker. Okay, so the Bitcoin price, it's been going up recently. There's a lot of people into it, and coming up on Thanksgiving, most of what I'm thinking about, and as always, I'm taking the worst possible look at this, is how annoying families, or my family, is going to be whenever they ask about, oh, hey, so how much Bitcoin do you have left? Which wouldn't be so annoying besides the fact that I don't have as much as I would like. I guess that's always true for people. where you always want more Bitcoin, you always want to hodl more Bitcoin, as the kids say these days. And I was around back when we were making those, back when people were making memes for 300, back when it was $30, but that's showing my age. Never mind. But yeah, your family might ask you, and I would probably feel better about the whole thing if I had like 30 Bitcoin stored away, and I could be like, yeah, fuck you guys, you told me it was dumb, and now I can buy your children. But I can't do that. I don't have that many. I still have enough so that I don't look like a complete idiot. I'm not going, oh, well, I sold them at $600 because I thought it was topping out then. But there's a lot of focus on Bitcoin. There's a lot of positive attention in the news, and there's a lot of people who in the past have been saying how Bitcoin's a bubble, Bitcoin's blah, 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 blah. And now they're starting to turn over. People and companies are starting to look into Bitcoin, or projecting Bitcoin to go higher. Not that it hasn't happened before, and not that they haven't been predicting that before, but the energy behind Bitcoin seems much more positive than it has in the past, I'd say, year. Maybe this is the most positive I've ever seen it. And I'm sure that does somewhat coincide with how much money it is worth right now. Now, there's still people calling it a bubble, still people complaining that, well, see, this doesn't make any sense. But at this point, it's like people are going, what? It went from $0 to $8,000? How, like, the only thing they can really think of is just, I wish I had done that. I wish I had gotten my money into it. You don't hear so many people talking about it being money laundering. At least I don't, where, again, I have to plead, partly this could be coming from ignorance, just from me I don't regularly read the New York Times. I don't regularly read really any kind of news site, but particularly not any kind of mainstream news site. If I am reading something, generally that site or that company already has like some knowledge of Bitcoin at least, and already has normally a positive look to it, because it is coming from a crypto focused or libertarian focused, or in any like an agorist focus, where Bitcoin is good not just because it's $8,000, but because of what it can do. And that's mostly what I want to talk about. And it seems like, I feel like I do this every single time I do an episode by myself, where I write something. But it's something that stands to be reminded about, and it is that even though Bitcoin is up, even though Bitcoin's $8,000, even though this is great, people are becoming millionaires, it's creating these a new class of millionaires, I guess, too, where it's some it just out of nowhere. Some of them it makes a little bit more sense. But I can't think of too much like this that has happened. I've never heard about people just, like, kids buying gold when they were like 18, and then by the time they're 25 or 24, whatever, being millionaires at some point. That may have happened. I'm sure it's happened with a few people, but not in these kind of numbers. And you see that a lot on Reddit, and that is again what I'm talking about with the positive. And I remember going on the Bitcoin Reddit even 2 months ago, and all of it was just this bickering and arguing and infighting, and about people taking shots at the other side over the whole fork issue. And now I just about an hour ago looked through the Bitcoin Reddit again to see if there was anything else that I could talk about to save you from just listening to me rant about this. But the majority of the posts on there are I have all this money, or, oh, look at these guys, they gave up on Bitcoin, what lose, ha 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 ha. And oh wow, whatever this company that said Bitcoin is going down is now actually looking at taking it. But mostly what I want to get to is, yeah, it's great that Bitcoin has the positivity. It's great that the Bitcoin ecosystem is positive, but at the same time, we're positive because it went up. Like, there's more, it's just, we all made a lot of money, so we're real happy. But that doesn't stop from either, if it drops back down to around what it was, but even like $2,000, $3,000, excuse me, if it does that, you're going to have the fighting start again. Or if after, what if it stops? What if it balances out or just doesn't grow as much? That's the infighting and everything is still going to reemerge, come back into the conversation, and I think probably dominate again, because that is what we like to talk about. We like to argue with one another. We like to point, oh, well, this, your side is ruining Bitcoin. This is going to fix it, blah, 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 blah. I would caution against how people are seemingly very, very now positive, not just about Bitcoin, but I think people are more positive about the ecosystem. That may just be me. And maybe like I'm arguing against my own initial thought, and it's that we haven't necessarily figured things out, and we haven't settled differences, and we haven't come to a position where we all agree what Bitcoin should be used for. We're just kind of forgetting about it because of how much money we're making. And that does fuck up a lot of things whenever money does get involved, and people don't care then when something bad does happen. When, especially people who have gone through hard times or have built up some kind of brand and they've been struggling. Like you hear about this with bands all the time. People complain about them selling out. People complain about the band, they started from these do-it-yourself roots, and they had this eclectic style. They had this very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very anyway, just a style of their own. I know the words there someplace, but just a style that was very much their own. And then whenever they start getting a little bit of money, they go, okay, wait, we can kind of compromise on this a little bit. Maybe you don't have to work as hard. Doesn't exactly correlate to Bitcoin. Doesn't exactly correlate to really anything besides another artistic form. But it does, I think, speak to how we will look over some issues as long as money's coming in. And we will look over how some things could be going, like some ideas of Bitcoin and about Bitcoin that we would be willing to throw out the window just for it to gain more money. Like, would you be willing, or would you be for Bitcoin becoming much less decentralized, and that is kind of what has happened already. And with mining and everything, is that as it's become less about the decentralization and more about just being a new form of payment, that makes the price go up, because obviously that then opens itself up and shows value to more people than just the crazy libertarian people who want to take money away from the state and want to keep money out of taxes and want just a decentralized currency. And again, it does depend on where you want Bitcoin to go. If you listen to this show, I would imagine you aren't just into it for the money that Bitcoin can make you, or because it's a faster form of transactions, because at this point you're a faster or cheaper way of transaction, which it isn't always anymore. I would assume you have, if not libertarian sympathies or that those kind of sympathies, you do know of it and you do have some knowledge of them. So my question is, and my thought is, my question is, what will we be willing to give up? What will we let pass through in good times, which then can come back and bite us in the ass when things do go bad, or when things turn in a different way, when someone else is in control of something. I do have something else to talk about with Bitcoin, because this does relate to kind of freedom in general. Like Bitcoin, I would say, is a tool for freedom, but I do have something to say about just the freedom in general and people's viewpoints of it. But with Bitcoin, because of how it's a tool for freedom, I think we need to remember that. I think we need to keep that focus there. And I do remember specifically, I've done this exact type of article before whenever Bitcoin has gone down, being like, oh, it doesn't matter because Bitcoin's still fine. Bitcoin, it goes up, and okay, yeah, that's good, but it still doesn't matter if you are into it for the reasons of personal liberty, tax evasion, or there's some people who are in Bitcoin now and who like the payment process, who are directly against that, who are for trying to make that harder. So I would hope, and people who listen to this, please don't discount the danger of letting Bitcoin become more mainstream, let it become commercialized, just to be like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, the price is going up, so sure, that must be working.
Get ready for Crypto Overload. We're making it easy to get into the game at America's Card Room with your favorite cryptocurrency. We are thrilled to announce that you can deposit and cash out using more than 60 different cryptocurrencies. We are the first poker site to offer this after already accepting Bitcoin from the beginning. Cryptocurrencies are the future. We can predict that playing real money poker will never be easier at americascardroom.com.
And this is kind of tying the other things in. Freedom and like a lot of things that turn out bad sound great when they start. Like the idea of say the idea of police, or the idea of a military. Okay, great. Like, okay, we'll have specifically police will have these guys who are the watchdogs of society. They're the watchdogs of maybe the neighborhood. If it's broken down smaller, they keep people safe. A peace officer, a law, I mean, whether it's peace officer or law enforcement, that doesn't matter. But it is someone, okay, we're going to have this person enforce the laws, because if you don't have someone enforce the laws, who's going to listen? That's the thinking. There's something a little bit flawed with that, but I won't really touch on that now. That's the thinking. In practice, that sucks, because you're dealing with people and you're dealing with changing people. Like, there's some cops that are fine. There's some cops that go their entire lives or careers, and I would be I have no love in my heart for law enforcement. I have no love in my heart for someone who basically sells their life just to enforce codes in a book. If that's what you do, that's cool. But I don't hate police. But I don't have any more. I don't understand. I don't have this almost godlike respect that we're supposed to, that movies try to make. But I also don't have that for the military either. Some people would say I'm a liberal. I'm a liberal pussy for this because you've never been over there in Iraq. You never understood. Well, yeah, no, I didn't do that. I didn't sign up. I didn't do any of that. I specifically tried not to go to Iraq. Even though, when we first went in, I was too young, but apparently we're just going to keep the wars over there going until I die. So at some point I could have gone over. But another example would be something like hate speech laws, or basically just laws prohibiting bad behavior that isn't necessarily violent or aggressive towards other people. Because then, yeah, it's great. Okay. Have you ever hung out with your other friend? I said other friends, like, were your friends? Have you ever had interactions with other people besides in podcast form? But yeah, you know what I mean. Where someone just says something like, "Oh, well, that should be illegal," or "You know what should be illegal?" And it's like, yeah, that's a great fucking idea. Like, oh yeah, no one is going to say, "Oh yeah, it shouldn't be illegal to." I'm trying to think of another example besides hate speech stuff, but I guess I'll use that. It should, like, yeah, it'd be great if you could just say that, yeah, you shouldn't be allowed to it should be illegal to be mean and denigrate someone in public in a hurtful, mean way that isn't at all funny and is just the express purpose of it is to be hurtful and to cause pain in that person. But again, so much of that is up to your own personal bias, your own personal viewpoint of the thing. That's where it gets complicated, because who's to say? Like you say one thing to one person, they're going to go home, cry, possibly kill themselves, and then that's where people, it should be illegal to say certain things to people. But then the other person, okay, it goes off them. It doesn't matter, and they deal with it better. So you can't end up kind of forcing in a morality to somebody or into a situation where there isn't actually violent aggression being imposed, because the idea and it's who arbiters it. It's the same reason with the same problem with the police, the same problem with all that, is there is some way and there is someone who has to be in charge of enforcing it. And when maybe even if it works, maybe a new law comes along and nobody commits suicide anymore from bullying, nobody gets called racial slurs, none of that. But then the next person, the next lawmaker, whoever's in charge of defining what the aggression is, what the illegal part of it is, next person picks some other word and they start to, well, you can't criticize the police, you can't criticize the military, you can't criticize the president. And so when you start fucking around with hate speech laws and with just speech laws in general, or online stuff like that, and that's come to the head in the past couple months, and I've made mention of it a few times before, but the idea that everybody right now is a lot of people are talking about net neutrality, and I would say a lot of people, I don't understand it enough to really talk about it. I really don't understand what it would do to Bitcoin, but there's a lot of people talk, we need net neutrality, we need to keep the internet free, non-biased, blah, 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 and they want the government to do that, but then at the same time, they're like, and I don't want these certain websites, specifically like the Daily Stormer or Richard Spencer, I don't want them to have a platform, but no, please make the internet free and unbiased and everything, but only for whatever I care about. And again, that's great. I would be fine with Richard Spencer not having a platform, but making it illegal or pressuring Patreon or anything like is, you're not depriving anyone. Like, no one's going to go, oh, wait, Patreon isn't supporting Richard Spencer anymore, I'm not going to listen to him. Because the issue isn't that there's a market of ideas, and that market of ideas has to be free, regardless of who it offends, regardless of who it is against, because once you start taking ideas and anything like that, or once you can apply this to Bitcoin, if Bitcoin was shut down way back in its earliest infancy just because of its use in these documented in either drug trafficking, money laundering, child pornography, all kinds of shit like that, if Bitcoin is then shut down because of that, shut down because of, like, you can't kill, this actually doesn't apply as well as I was thinking in my head, but I'll try to tie it together. You can't just, I guess it'd be the throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You can't kill a technology. You can't, it does tie it a little bit, because you can't censor, I'll say it like this, you can't censor the internet in the same way that you can't just shut down Bitcoin because of what it's used for. You can't shut down the internet you can't censor the internet in certain parts, because then it is no longer a free form of ideas. And it just excluding that the certain ideas you don't like, or the certain parts you don't like, the certain segments of society you don't like, they're not just going to go away. That's not what happens. If anything, they're going to get louder because they're angrier and they're more pissed off, and they go, oh, see, you're being, I keep forgetting words. You're being, not mean. You're being negative towards me, and you're coming after us now. So we really need to get whatever message out. So I don't really have any answers besides one, what I was talking about in Bitcoin. Let's make sure we don't let Bitcoin get just kind of co-opted. And I get, if it does, it's not the end of the world. We can always just jump on another coin. But I like Bitcoin, and I like the idea of it being the first big one and the one that's kicked it off. And I would rather not lose it to NASDAQ running, or like NASDAQ then just taking it over. And also, don't get so... Yeah, never mind. I don't really have anything to finish off with the other part. That was kind of just some random musings in my head. But don't get too encouraged with Bitcoin, I would say, because not necessarily everybody who's pushing the price up is also for all your ideas. We can try to change some people, and I guess that's what we're trying to do with the podcast. So if you're listening to the podcast, you did just get into Bitcoin to make money, take the time, listen to some of the podcasts, realize and learn what Bitcoin can do for the world, what a decentralized currency, taking money out of the hands of government printers and the Federal Reserve and all that bullshit, where it's basically just used to steal from people under their noses without getting them too pissed off to revolt. And look at that. Remember that Bitcoin has the ability and the power to change things like that, but it's something we have to change in our heads. It's something we have to change as people, not in Bitcoin, because we're the problem. And regardless with any technology, we've said this so many goddamn times on this podcast, Bitcoin's not evil. No technology is evil or good. It's how you use it, who uses it, and why they're using it. So try to remember, just look more into something. Never mind, I'm going to quit it there. This is me trying to stop rambling. This is Tim Baker here for the You, Me, and BTC podcast, episode 203. And again, make sure you check out our special deal we're getting for why we're bringing you these extra episodes at youmeandbtc.com/poker. And I hope you guys all have a good night, have a good Thanksgiving, love your family, and try to get them to send us... Oh, yeah, get your family into Bitcoin, get your family to listen to the show, because then you can say, these are the guys who I'm trusting to make financial decisions, and look where it got me. And that'll look great for us. They'll donate to everything. But anyway, again, thank you guys for listening. Have a great life. Bye.